Hello world, Nemesias here. What an exciting year 2024 has been for fans of isometric action role-playing games, huh? We started with the official release of Last Epoch in February. In March, we welcomed No Rest for the Weekend into early access. In October, we met the first expansion of Diablo 4, and the final straw of the year was the release of Path of Exile into early access. Stay with me because 2025 is predicted to be an even more interesting year. I have a problem with my vocal cords, and because of it I will rely on technology and AI. It is important that this video comes out soon. For a game to be included in my list, it must include 4 basic rules. First, it should be top-down or isometric, obviously. Second, it should have direct and responsive combat. What do I mean by that? You press a button, a shortcut, and the movement or attack is done directly without any time delay. Third rule. Common and characteristic features of the genre are to have colorful levels of loot. Simply like that. And 4. A doll-shaped inventory where we will dress the characters in their heroic journeys. These are unbreakable rules, not to mention that in the majority of titles you will see a lot of character builds and theory crafting. We don't care if the graphics are blurry, cute, pixelated or monotonous. If it meets the requirements, it will be also included. Apart from the upcoming games that have not been released on my list, I also include the early access games, but be careful, only for 2024. So with that in mind, I wish you a good viewing. You have a beautiful year full of health and love.
As we said before, we will present the games in alphabetical order. Abyss Delvers is a pixelated action role-playing game, completely unknown to the general public with interesting classes and worlds. A game that I presented on my channel, and because I liked it so much I decided to create a sub-trailer for it myself from what you saw in my gameplay video. Possible release dates, 2025 and beyond. As you will see, all the games that will parade across your screens have 4 common characteristics. Colorful loot and rankings, a doll-like inventory to interact with our loot, direct combat. You press a key and the command is immediately executed, and an isometric or top-down view. The AI Roguelike 2D is the first early access game we've seen on our list, and according to its creator, it's the first game to use artificial intelligence mechanisms to create or shape campaigns. In essence, with a few commands you can shape the type of campaign you want. Arm yourself with imagination, and let the AI create what you asked for. Isn't it incredible? I know you're eager to see more commercial titles, but I've made the decision to show this plethora of games in alphabetical order and not as a competitive ranking. Amulet is a minimalist action role-playing hack-and-slash game in early access, with pixelated graphics as you can see, but with a wide variety of weapons to destroy enemies. There are only 4 valuable slots in our equipment, and each item we find functions differently and interacts with the world. Apith is an isometric action role-playing game with endless loot, infinite enemies, and a completely free character building system where you can choose any skill without consequences, from a wide range of classes. Let me remind you here that all the games presented in my list have their corresponding page on Steam, where you can refer to for more details.
I can't use that yet.
Venture into the grim city of Apith, amidst trapdoors, graveyards, dungeons, and haunted outer spaces. Ancient secrets will unfold before your trembling eyes. To be honest, I've done some research on all these games, but for some I don't know if they will ever be released. One of them is Aaron the Book of Heroes. I've been watching it for a few years, maybe 2 as a demo on Steam, and I haven't seen any further development, but just the fact that it's still there is a big sign. Aaron the Book of Heroes is a top-down hack and slash game based on Norse mythology with strong role-playing elements, such as skills and loot. It is likely that this year will be its time to be published. The next title, named Astera, seems, although at a fairly early stage, very ambitious and will certainly keep us busy in the future. With graphics reminiscent of the Torchlight series, and with quite a bit of deep character building as well as lore, it comes to leave its own mark on the genre. There will be a wide variety of character builds, since apart from the one standard class that each player starts with, another will be added as the game progresses. Its strong point will be the multiplayer mode, as well as constant level reconstruction. No level will ever look the same as the previous one. There's already a demo on Steam. Possible release date 2025.
Once in a generation there appears a game that is so special, it defies classification. So unique. So dare I say it, so absolutely shit. That the normality of shit does not
Asunder
apply.
2 is an action role-playing game with
Now
vitriolic
this is
humor
such
that
a
its
game.
creator describes as being considerably
Like,
more
you
difficult
fight
than
dragons
Path of
and stuff,
Exile
like, oh my
and
God.
other games of the
Now
genre.
for fuck me days,
I must
that's
say
not
that
real.
this is a rather serious statement after the arrival of Path of Exile 2's early access. We are waiting to see it in action, listening to violins trolling us with every death.
Thus, without further ado, I hereby announce Asunder the Second, the bastard son of a bitch, the number 2 of the second of the sequel, and this time, it's for real, and that's no shit.
According to the game's information, we switch between 3 characters at the same time, and under certain conditions we can control all 3 at the same time. Also, in addition to the classic isometric view, we can play the game from a bird's eye view or from a third-person view. It seems like a pretty interesting title with graphics that are personally pleasing to the eye. Back in the Dark is a hack-and-slash dungeon crawler with pixelated graphics, where you have the choice of 6 classes to move through pitch-black dungeons full of treasure and upgrade your equipment. Of course, if you die, you lose all your loot in that particular game, so you have to be pretty careful about how you approach each route. The game hasn't been released yet, but you can get a quick taste of it from the demo on Steam. Barbarian Axe is an isometric action game, hardcore with elements of souls in battle. You play the role of a remaining warrior of a barbarian tribe who discovers a macabre secret in a remote village. Wander a bloody path, slaughtering and maiming everything that stands in your way. To obtain the best possible equipment for yourself, you will need to fight challenging boss battles. The Battle of Darkness is an isometric game with combat like the Souls games that takes place in a medieval setting. The game includes mounts and extensive customization. We play the role of an heir to the throne of the Kingdom of Babylon, a kingdom overrun by demonic souls and evil spirits. Our hero Ander must fight the greatest battle of his life, as he must protect his kingdom and his soul as well. Battlejuice Alchemist is another early access game that has made a big impression with its unique gameplay and distinctive artistic style. In a dark medieval world, our protagonist tries to survive with allies, not the typical ones, weapons and armor, but with alchemy. Trying to build the appropriate filters in a game that, although it is not obvious, has a tremendous variety of loot. Our alchemist neutralizes the bad guys with empirical knowledge of centuries. A special game that catches our attention from the start menu. Beyond the Map is an isometric action role-playing game that blends the best elements of action role-playing games with those of survival and base building. We might see it on our screens, even in early access in 2025. Bleak Light Falls is another unique action role-playing game that mixes action role-playing games with tower defense and farming simulation. Create your ideal build by collecting loot from enemies, crafting and upgrading gear, and altering their stats to your liking. Find unique items with special effects that improve and change your abilities. And then, with the defense you built with your fellow villagers, you try to crush endless hordes of enemies before they can enter the settlement. Another interesting title we expect in 2025. As we have the games listed in alphabetical order, they have some unique surprises when a title is changed. So where we see cute pixelated, animated graphics, suddenly we are faced with absolute darkness and more gloomy and adult titles. However, these 4 basic rules that we set as a prerequisite for the games to be included in my list exist, as you can see in all the titles so far. Blood and Dungeon is an isometric action role-playing game with Souls-inspired combat, set in a manipulated medieval society. In a dark dungeon with only deadly traps and terrifying guards as companions, a young man unjustly imprisoned will do anything to escape, and his epic journey is just beginning. Asterisk, the game features various armors and weapons. Players can use these equipment to customize their characters and make them stronger. Asterisk, players engage in combat with patrol soldiers wandering in the dungeon. They must defeat them to progress and continue their struggle for survival. Bloody Doctor is a title that has been anticipated for 2 years now. Set in a steampunk Paris, a doctor tries, in rather unorthodox ways, to find a cure for a deadly and threatening pandemic for the human species. Isometric combat like Souls in a memorable world. The list will be as big as you've never seen before on mainstream channels. You'll see a truly huge list of isometric and top-down role-playing games that will keep you company for a long time before you go to sleep. An epic journey begins in this handcrafted art, with all those elements that characterize the genre, and we set as rules to exist together with a great variety of buildable characters. You will meet many curious companions on your journey and accomplish great things together in an extraordinary story.
Over the boundless prairie, in the darkest area, slaughtered by savages, my love died from the damages. My valiant eagle, you sought freedom, but the enemy's arrow found you and brought sorrow, mournful cross on a silent hill. The darkest enemy has come to kill. Hide to heaven. Start your flight. Glory forever. Coming, fight.
Take on the role of Falconet, a young Bogator born without hero's powers, shunned and underestimated by almost everyone. Conquer numerous ordeals, overcome insurmountable odds, and become a legendary hero whose tales will be told for ages to come. Inspired by Slavic folklore stories, with beautiful graphics and very synchronized animation, Belina could be the surprise of the year. Finally, our first entry into science fiction on our list so far, and what's better than Carbon, a game made by veterans of the genre who wanted to go far from the usual cliches and present us an excellent hack-and-slash-action role-playing game with a science fiction background. In a post-apocalyptic world, in a dystopian Earth, human life has no more value than any part of the human body. In a world where biotechnology and the decline of civilization coexist, in the world of Carbon. A large number of character builds in an innovative skill tree, diverse and numerous levels of loot. The world of Carbon is taking off in 2025. Cedric Darkstride. The Palette is a hardcore action role-playing game with Souls influences. Help Cedric find redemption. Use your melee or ranged attacks, increase your magical powers, and solve puzzles to access certain areas. Immerse yourself in the underworld and defeat the evil one. Explore the world of Iron Holt. Delve into the depths of Somber Cave, or face the defenders of the various fortresses condemned by the evil one. Choose your attack style wisely, melee, ranged, or magic. Each enemy has its weaknesses. Investigate your enemies. Seek information about their pacts with the evil one and the curse they bear. Gather all the treatises to gain the power to confront the Lord of Evil. Combat Complex is another early access game that will likely be completed by 2025. The games I present as early access are strictly relatively new, specifically from 2024. Combat Complex is a hybrid of an isometric ARPG with roguelite elements and a twin-stick shooter. The battles take place at a frenetic and relentless pace. As you can see from the trailer, it meets all the criteria to be included in our list and is set in a futuristic world. Corden is an impressive action role-playing game in isometric format, where you can collect and transform into the dinosaur-like monsters you have faced in battle. You can transform at any time from human warriors into dinosaur-like beast monsters. It is a project that seems very clever as an idea, and the game world looks great with great graphics that attract the viewer's eye. It has a great script background, and its story looks ideal. The character building in relation to the specificity of the monster collection will be a pleasant headache. I believe that if the game gives everything it has been building all these years, it will be a timeless masterpiece. The transformation begins in 2025. Another strong entry for the new year is Crystal Fall. It has every chance of becoming a title that will keep fans of the genre busy for years. With a mix of elements from genre-defining titles as well as a steampunk world, this hack-and-slash-action role-playing game will keep you busy for a long time on your screens with its wide variety of loot, as well as theory crafting for character builds. Crystal Fall is coming to your screens in 2025. Cybercorp is an early access isometric looter shooter game with a huge variety of loot and fast-paced action. In a cyberpunk world, you are a warrior skilled in the latest technology with the aim of restoring order to a world that has fallen apart. In your arsenal, you will have a wealth of abilities as well as countless weapons and armor to destroy a huge variety of enemies. Surely for many of you, the graphics from the Atari 2600 era are not pleasing to the eye. However, if you overlook these, Dark Hunting Grounds will become the ultimate addiction. The game is the epitome of theory crafting, loot, and character build to the point where many of the advertised titles would stand in a corner and cry like babies in front of it. It has a great crafting system that can be completely addictive, and the most important thing is that it has been in early access since this year, with many elements still pending until its final release, which is likely to be in 2025. Okay, now we're going to a traditional hack and slash game with old school rules, which is not available in any other language besides Chinese at the moment and is expected to hit the markets in 2025. An interesting title that I personally would like to see in the Western market as well, as it has stylized graphics, an interesting story, and all the elements that prevail in traditional Western action role-playing games, in contrast to the idle games that prevail in the Eastern market, which are not to my personal taste. Another game whose fate is unknown is Shadow Dawn. It is a game that is in development, but I have no information if it will be able to be released finally or if it will be completed, no matter how much research I did. The positive thing, however, is that it still remains on the Steam platform. According to the developers, it is a game with a wide variety of loot, tactical combat that adapts to the wide variety of enemies, a large world to explore in open fields and claustrophobic dungeons. It will have an interesting campaign, but you will also be able to shape different versions of the story with your choices. The Dead Hunters is a game that we have yet to see any news about in terms of its development. It is still under construction and takes place in a dark Gothic world. It has loot, but also many elements from roguelike and games like Souls. In addition to your arsenal, you need to be quite careful with your every move to survive. The combat is frenetic, but you have to use every dodge and hit correctly. Collect a wide variety of weapons and magical artifacts to inflict as much damage on your foes as you can. Level up your characters and unlock their unique traits to help you defeat the Dead Plague. The Death of Eternity is an amazing combination of roguelike with action role-playing game mechanics in a surreal setting. It has a unique character development system. Crafting and gems can also affect your build to a huge extent, but mostly it has loot explosions with tons of loot. Although the game is a one-man effort, the love and passion he has poured into his product is clearly visible. Although the game has not been released, there is a demo on Steam for you to get to know. It is worth seeing. Inventory system, yes. Top-down view, yes. Combat like Souls, yes. Loot, yes. Extraction like in many roguelites, yes. What is this game? What genre does it belong to? Whatever genre it belongs to, it has the 4 elements that concern us and enough content to keep us interested. Relics hidden in chests in the depths of the dungeons will give you the strength to face your worst nightmares that have taken the form of hideous monsters. Possible release date 2025. In contrast to the first part, where its creators had created a spectacular action roguelike, in the second part, its creators went hack and slash to the Diablo standards with loot and abilities like those specific role-playing games. The game initially offers 4 professions to choose from, each with its own exclusive skill tree and multiple development paths. Profession growth, skill combinations, equipment abilities, and rich combinations provide more variety and greater fun for repeated play. Amazing and challenging boss battles, a practical skill tree, and a huge inventory make up the core of Devil Slayer, Roxasi 2. The Devils will be slaughtered in 2025.
I saw my corpse, and from my mouth crawled hatred.
After the de-escalation of Vessels of Hatred, Diablo 4 left more questions than answers. The entire history of this particular game for a year and a half has been a roller coaster of emotions. When it came out for 3 weeks, while playing its campaign, they were talking about the best Diablo today. Its world is large, full of secrets and challenges. But finishing the campaign showed its unpreparedness and its nakedness in many areas such as itemization, the complete lack of an attractive endgame, and mainly the absence of orientation. This game does not know where to move. And this was also evident in the last expansion where we found ourselves looking to fight Mephisto without Mephisto. Let's not even mention that it is the first Diablo game without Deckard Cain, magic cubes, set items, secret cow level, and Diablo. With all this, it is inevitable that the project will continue in more seasons, and maybe in 2025 Diablo 4, with a new expansion, will claim the laurels of the past.
Come, child of my child. I will give you the violence you long for.
Something has disturbed my dreams.
From the creators of Warhammer Chaos Bane, a new generation isometric hack and slash-action role-playing game, it comes in complete secrecy, and the little we could see in the gameplay trailer admittedly looks impressive.
He has returned. The great beast, an ancient terror resurrected.
In a world dominated by vicious and powerful dragon lords who have corrupted
Soon
everything with their blood,
all
you will need
know
all your skills to
that
face
the
them.
war against the dragons begins again.
In a world dominated by dragons, play as one of 4 heroes, solo or multiplayer, and fight hordes of enemies. Adapt your build with a unique ancestral grid system. Improve your city and share it with your friends. I hope you enjoy the list so far. I'm trying to include all upcoming games regardless of popularity, quality, and level of anticipation, as long as they include the 4 rules we mentioned.
You have been selected as the player.
One of these games is Dreamland Prison. I don't know much about the development of this game, although I have seen that it had not achieved any goals on Kickstarter, and this disappointed me, because I was lucky enough to play it in a very early form about 3 years ago, and it had left me with nice impressions.
You kill me? Tell me, have you ever seen a pawn kill a chess player?
With a dynamic combat system where each attack is enriched with area effects due to the high density of monsters, as well as a highly original story, this game is a title that cannot go unnoticed.
But if you lose, you, your mother, and the rest of the mortals will die.
Echoes of Myth blends the best elements of hack-and-slash RPGs, roguelikes, and SOULIKES and mixes them into an epic adventure. Echoes of Myth is a roguelike, Souls-like set in a broken, ever-changing fantasy world where gods have fallen silent. Choose your class and path, tactically battling enemies and bosses. Collect unique loot, unlock talents, and permanently enhance your character. Die, learn, and rise stronger. With loot like Diablo, intense combat like Souls, and smart character building, it's an interesting title to look forward to in 2025. This particular game's development pace is progressing silently according to my research. It has improved considerably compared to the demo we saw about 3 years ago. It is an ambitious project where, apart from the classic isometric view, you will also be able to play it in a third-person view. Edric's Conquest is a dynamic hack-and-slash-action RPG with complex character development, epic story, and endless replayability. Explore Plesmer, a high fantasy world, on your own or with your allies. Face fantasy creatures such as the stoic orcs, ancient elementals, and immortal revenants in the world of Plesmer. Emberville is a pixelated action role-playing game where you control a hero who wanders through a vast dungeon full of dangers and loot. Learn various crafting and combat skills as you explore the treacherous corridors of a massive, ever-changing dungeon. Help the citizens of Emberville rebuild their town as you rescue them from the clutches of wicked forces with the aid of a mysterious and loyal friend. Emberville is coming to Steam, possibly in 2025. A fallen hero is reborn in this unusual hack-and-slash action role-playing game, where defense is the best offense against the endless hordes of monsters you will face. Each character you meet is another piece of the puzzle in an untold and thrilling story. With fast-paced combat and a wide variety of character builds, Eternal Sacrifice is a game that will keep you entertained in 2025. The changes from dark worlds amidst misery and gloom to more flashy bright worlds with childishly cute graphics hopefully break the monotony of the list. However, I remind you that all the games I present are governed by the 4 basic rules to be part of this list. Etnia is a top-down pixel-style action role-playing game. You will play as a teenager and start a fantasy journey on the continent of Etnia. Collect rare equipment, learn stronger skills, explore ruins, caves, and villages to understand the past of the continent and decide its future. Countless loot, intense boss battles, and hidden tracks will accompany you in this title. Possible release date 2025. Everpixel Valley is a one-man project. A pixelated game with unique features that combines the hack-and-slash genre with a farming simulation. Turn your dusty plot of land into a bustling farm. Sow crops, raise critters, and gather materials. But be careful. You'll need to build defenses. Invaders will seek to pillage your hard work. Defend your farm. Wade into the fray and make your enemies regret coming to your turf. Over 24 perk trees to choose from. Choose carefully. You can only choose 1 primary and 3 secondary trees. But be careful. You'll have to defend your hard work from hordes of pixelated foes. An interesting project that we will gladly embrace probably in 2025. Fallen Heroes is an addictive isometric action roguelite with a wide range of heroes to choose. The heroes will help us on our journey through a violent world full of loot and amazing boss battles. Fast and frenetic hack and slash combat pace. Countless character customization capabilities. Find loot from over 1 billion different rune combinations, allowing new passive skills and bonuses to influence your run. With 6 rarities and a forge system that allows you to upgrade and re-roll specific aspects of your runes, you can create the perfect setup for your chosen build. Each run is different. Every character was designed to have unique combat styles that you can control based on loot and your choice of talents. 120 plus talents per character. Want to turn your glass cannon ice mage into a frosty tank? The choice is yours. In 2025.
Since oldest living memory, the dungeon gate has stood in the heart of the old wood.
Fate, Reawakened. It is an attempt to bring the classic and beloved dungeon crawler to the graphics of the new era, 20 years after its first official release. In this particular revival, in addition to the reskin visuals, we will also see many quality of life improvements in terms of both gameplay and interface. Closing the presentation, we would like to emphasize that all 4 games in the series will be included in this package. Fate has awakened and is waiting for you to face it in 2025.
Choose your fate.
Fractured Worlds is an isometric action role-playing game with abilities, inventory management, loot, and combat like Souls. Search for precious relics, power, and answers about a broken, fragmented world in this overhead action RPG with procedural zones and unique multiplayer features. This game will most likely be released in 2025. Fusionsmith is an ultimate dungeon crawler and mining game. You can craft weapons of incredible power with the materials you find easily in the Sunless Dungeon and use them to attack the hundreds of monsters that inhabit it. With dynamic combat, you can prevent them from approaching your forge. Delve deep underground. Fill your bags with precious metals and forge your way through in this action-packed roguelike featuring unique spin on crafting your gear. Gather materials from your mining, fight, and do your fusions in 2025.
Fight.
GA is a game in early access. It's a mix of roguelike with classic games like Diablo and Titan Quest. Choose a character, fight through randomized levels, level up, and defeat the final boss.
Fight in different realms.
It's a game that includes everything every fan of the genre wants, such as loot, character building, inventory management, several heroes to test their unique abilities, and of course, fast and direct combat.
Keep fighting. God.
Revenge of the Arch-Lokvik.
is coming.
Gimli. The Broken Prophecy is an isometric action role-playing game based on Norse mythology. While doing my research, I'm not sure when it will be released because it's been a while since I've heard any news about this title, but I'm hopeful because it's still on the Steam platform.
Knows no bounds. But there is one thing that terrifies him. It's your Hugr. Discover.
Enter the
your
dark world
destiny.
of Norse mythology in a new role-playing game. Play as Brand, a brave warrior on whose shoulders rests the future of the new world. Use his supernatural abilities and make difficult choices that affect the fate of the mythical land.
The broken prophecy. Only you can defeat Arch-Ludwig.
Gimli is an isometric action RPG inspired by the classics of the genre, enriched with beautiful next-generation pixelated graphics.
Will you save Gimli?
We hope to see it on our screens in 2025.
It is your kind that has brought this upon me. I will end you for your
Godforged,
transgression.
Origins of Osgiliath is a story-rich, single-player action RPG set in the world of Nelithar. Experience tactical combat, class blending, and kingdom ruling in a world besieged by a god, where your actions and choices shape the future of Osgiliath.
Who are you? Why are you helping me?
Besides the traditional slaughter that occurs in games of this genre, Godforged, Origins of Osgiliath has an interesting character-building system and real interaction with non-playable characters. Its world is epic, full of twists, conspiracies, and intrigues.
I've had terrible dreams of late.
Godforged, Origins of Osgiliath is a game for adults with mature dialogue and content, tactical action combat, a vast skill tree that you can fully explore and choose the abilities that suit you, and a great epic story that you can't wait to become a part of. Grayskin is a special game that I've had on my wishlist for quite some time. It has a demo for you to try out, and you'll find that it has a unique feel and style that is captivating. You see the abilities, the inventory, the loot, and many different additions regarding crafting and character creation that you feel as soon as the inventory screen opens that you are in customization heaven. And all of this in a cartoonish isometric action role-playing game. The battle for cheese will take place on our screens, probably in 2025. We have reached a milestone title using the alphabetical order method, and it is none other than Grim Dawn, which awaits its third expansion next year with the title Fangs of Astracard. The expansion briefly includes the following new features that, in combination with the existing ones, will make the already recognized game remain in the pantheon of the genre. New endgame system, new class, continuation of the campaign in a completely new area, new equipment, new constellations. We are eager to venture into the inhospitable North in 2025. Grindfest is an isometric role-playing game that is free in early access. With the following peculiarity, it has all the elements we are looking for: fast-paced isometric combat, doll-type inventory, and loot. But you can play it completely automated as an educational title for novice programmers by pressing commands on the screen. As an idea, it is good. I hope the execution is equally good.
I didn't care what I could and couldn't.
Action-packed RPG story. Hack and slash all monsters in your wake. Build a town from scratch and research while gathering resources and leveling up by killing monsters in the area. Don't forget to delve into the dungeons and defend your created town from the hordes of monsters coming to destroy. This title is the definition of multitasking because it includes harvesting, gathering, crafting, repairing, and upgrading your city. Waves and hordes of monsters ready to destroy the city you are building from scratch. Infinite dungeons and a super dungeon, the tower that no one has reached its 100 levels, as well as priceless loot.
Nossa terra há de parar de queimar.
The Hell Clock is a masterful hybrid between roguelikes and action RPGs. A diabolical roguelike, as the game meaningfully warns us.
A chance de reescrever a história pelas mãos do povo. Voltar até que a nossa versão seja contada.
Intense, suspenseful with a great lore and an innovative character development system that is ecstatic. Hell Clock is not going to go unnoticed by anyone in 2025. Forge powerful builds with endless loot in this relentless combination of roguelike and ARPG. Blast through dungeons and unleash inhuman powers in a dark fantasy twist on Brazil's War of Canudos.
Eu vou trazer nosso conselheiro de volta. Nem que eu tenha.
The presentation of these true heirlooms for the genre continues in the next game. Because this game you are seeing now is a mix of the best elements of roguelikes, SOULIKES, and exile-likes. Heretical contains all those elements that can build characters in all three genres we mentioned before. It is truly every crafting theorist's dream. If we combine that with the immediate response to movements in the beautifully designed world, we understand why this unknown gem of early access leaves positive impressions in its path. Choose your hero and fight relentless guardians in this roguelite action RPG, where each death unlocks new powers, characters, and strategies, helping you ascend Sanctora Mountain to face a ruthless demigod. Heretical entices the players to unlock new characters, each with a unique set of skills and proficiencies. Although the world of Heretical is based on linear progression, no two play runs are ever the same. We'll see you in the game Heretics. Heroes of the Ashen Watch is a challenging co-op action RPG where up to 5 players team up to defeat the hordes of evil. Each hero boasting his own distinctive playstyle and talent tree. Collect holy relics to unlock a variety of game-enhancing perks that empower your hero's abilities and strengths. Master the strategic depth of combat with a top-down isometric camera perspective that provides a unique and immersive view of the battlefield. The Heroes of Ashen Watch are coming in 2025. RPG game with Vikings, Saxons, and Romans in ancient medieval Britannia, now invaded by zombies and other creatures of darkness. Old enmities and alliances must be rethought for everyone's survival. The truth is that it should have been released earlier. I hope it makes it. Authentic old-school isometric action, role-playing game with a prototype concept expected in 2025. The world's finest human simulator. Explore dungeons, slash enemies, collect loot, fight bosses, just like human used to do in their daily lives. Now with a direct uplink to the compendium for real-time updates. Human Dungeons is an interesting early access action role-playing game that the creators don't take seriously, although it can keep you busy for several hours. It has a wide variety of loot, 3 heroes to roam the world with, each with their own skills, and most importantly, it has a great sense of humor.
The time has come.
As a young blacksmith forging armor for the kingdom, you meet a stranger in the wilderness that commissions you for a dangerous quest. Through him, your armor receives special blessings, enhancing your combat abilities and leading you down the path of an old prophecy.
For there hath been a prophecy of old, a night foretold.
I could describe Nights Foretold as the joy of a collector of armor sets, since each armor gives you a different way to approach the battle. A battle that has another point of differentiation with other titles of the genre, that our hero can be a parkour champion and no obstacle from tables, barrels, hills, roofs, bridges stops him until he achieves his goal. Feel free to exhaust your enemies in 2025. A mythological epic adventure, currently available only in Chinese, is coming to Steam in 2025. Each weapon functions completely differently in battle and gives your character their own unique way to play. With a large system of talent points, this title will quench your thirst for Far Eastern mythology. In the early years of the Western Zhou dynasty, the dark forces quietly crawled out of the dark corners, ready to move, and the world was in danger. Create your own heroic legend with your friends. Explore unknown lands, defeat powerful enemies, and collect rare treasures. All of this is waiting for you. We continue our journey into ancient mythologies with another visit to our beloved Norse mythology with the legends of Valhalla, where we now have the ability to control our favorite deities in the game. Although it is an anticipated title and is still on the Steam page, I am not optimistic about whether this particular title will ever be released because for 4 years I have not seen any activity on the Steam page or anywhere else I have looked. However, there is a demo available so that anyone can see a fairly early version of what the creator wanted to create. And the crafts as well as the complex but equally impressive skill tree show us that it would have been a beautiful title, but unfortunately, it was probably lost in Ragnarok. Light Edge is a role-playing game set in a medieval fantasy world, which aims to evolve this classic genre by introducing several new gameplay mechanics inspired by other video games. Is a team-based isometric hack-and-slash action role-playing game where you control a group of warriors, each with their own personality and specializing in a different type of combat. Despite this particular game, like the previous one, has time to show progress, although we also have a demo to accompany it in this game. It is a real shame for economic reasons, as for most of them I suppose, that beautiful titles that are different from the banal ones cannot come to the surface. I hope the light finds an edge in 2025. We have reached number 60 on the list. I hope you're having a good time so far, whether with popcorn, snacks, or lounging on sofas and beds. Blindworm is a title in early access that I have of course shown on my page like most titles, but as an unknown YouTuber with a minimal audience, no one bothered. It is an early access title that combines many elements, having in its arsenal, of course, all the rules that we defined for it to be included in our list. It has an interactive environment with many puzzles to solve to find areas with incredible wealth and loot. It has excellent combat with dynamic skills and handling like Souls. And you can upgrade your city or hideout during your adventures. The battles are engaging, and the bosses require special handling to defeat. It is a beautiful title that is still in development and has not yet reached its official release.
There are tales of a place in the middle of the ocean. Sailors speak of a colossal monster rumored to inhabit.
Lumiel the Awakening is a top-down hack-and-slash action role-playing game, where our hero is isolated on an island that he must explore, build his base, gather the materials he needs to face overwhelming dangers, and embark on an endless cycle of violence and loot.
Eerie caves and ruins from a long-forgotten battle. For centuries, numerous people have found themselves stranded here, and all attempts to leave the island have been unsuccessful. Over time,
as players venture away from towns, villages, settlements, and roads, they will engage in battles against hordes of monsters. Collecting rare artifacts, resources, and equipment will be crucial to continuously enhance the player's strength. Numerous dungeons, secrets, and hidden treasures await discovery throughout the game world. The battles are devastating, with numerous enemies of every kind roaming every corner of the mysterious island, whether on its interior surface or in the dark dungeons. Our hero will have a wide variety of abilities in his arsenal, as well as epic weapons and armor that he will collect from his endless wanderings on the island. Lumiel is coming to wake us up in 2025. Magic and Demons is a project that could possibly come with a time capsule, since everything about it, from its graphics, music, sound effects, game controls, and its entire setup, is clearly a love letter to the 2000s era. It's as if someone discovered a copy of an original game in 2000 and is trying to present it to the general public now. It has several classes and a large world to wander around, and of course a retro nostalgia for those who managed to play games like Diablo 2, Sacred, Darkstone, and so on. It comes to haunt us or to enchant us in 2025. Marmorial is an early access, sweet anime bullet hell action role-playing game. With loot, intense character and build customization, several interesting characters and classes, and a nice combat rhythm. Join the mages of the Arcanum and the warriors of Melkirion in their battles against the armies of the undead in their quest to stop the evil necromancer from becoming an immortal lich. Face off against powerful opponents that utilize powerful spells and skilled swordsmanship to stop you in your tracks. Fight the forces of the undead throughout the undead lands, battling through dense forests, undead castles, towering mountains, and ancient underground kingdoms. Collect unique weapons for each character that change the way they attack, be it minor changes to how projectiles fly to completely new movesets. Marmorial, its full release is expected in 2025. The list is flowing nicely, and I hope you haven't gotten bored by now, since the alphabetical order has prevented any surprises. However, now is the time to mention a title that is the only one of those I present that is not on the Steam platform. I will be long-winded because personally I am ecstatic with what I see coming, and if it is executed correctly, it will be a crown for games of the genre. I am talking, of course, about Moonbeast Project, which I don't know if it will be the title of the game like the name of the company. What is this? Imagine something like the call of Nick Fury, who formed the Avengers. Old-timers and veterans of the genre who have worked on original games of the genre from Diablo 1 to Diablo 3, Torchlight 1 and 2, the underrated Hellgate London, the unreleased Mythos, the unfairly cut but still talked about Marvel heroes, as well as the always in retrospect Nox. Imagine all these guys who you were paying attention to now, most of whom came from Blizzard North, coming together according to their love for isometric action role-playing games to create the ultimate game of the genre. As a fanatic and worshipper of the genre, for me it is absolute news. And seeing the gameplay elements and how they want to do it, I dare say that even in its early form they can do it. So what does the game have? Let's see it briefly. Vast worlds that we can explore freely. Environments that are generated randomly as you progress. Direct combat in the standard physics of the genre, and multiplayer. Heroes with their abilities and skills can interact with the terrain. Day and night cycle with impressive visuals. Exploration of new realms. Mysterious dynamic dungeons that none of them are the same. Each play through its dynamics. Its loot and its enemies are not identical. The style and atmosphere of the game will be dark with influences from Lovecraft. And there will also be a powerful and easily accessible editor that you will be able to build anything in the game from scratch, from building environments to new mods. Within the game, we will be able to build settlements, castles, strongholds, camps. The editor will have powerful commands that can connect, this impressed me as said, many worlds from the multiverse of isometric action role-playing games into one. As I say in the title of the video, we are talking about the upcoming isometric action role-playing games from 2025 and beyond. Although it is difficult, I hope to see it on the markets in 2025. It will be a monster moon that will overshadow everything in its path. Mortal Crux is a title that will include many elements from the golden age of role-playing games, as its creators claim. According to the developers, the game is inspired by games like Diablo, Morrowind, Baldur's Gate, and The Witcher. And all this in a beautiful isometric landscape. The battles will be fast-paced and dynamic, but will include tactics like Souls. The first images of this highly anticipated title confirm the words of its creators, and it will obviously be a rather interesting title when it is released. Play single player or co-op up to 4 players. Non-linear adventure to explore at your own pace. Hundreds of intricately crafted locations to discover. Interactive world with day/night cycle, NPC schedules, weather, wildlife, and quest events. Action-based combat with full gamepad support. Immersive atmosphere and soundtrack. We continue our list with Mortal Darkness, an isometric role-playing game with dynamic combat and a dark background. With over 50 skills to master, more than 100 epic items to collect and experiment with in a practical crafting system with over 60 different weapons and shields, as well as a variety of crafting items, buff items, and elixirs, there is no shortage of ways to progress in the game. Choose from a variety of character classes, including the cunning and agile barbarian, the brutal and strong orc, or the magical and intelligent cultist. Each class has its own set of spells and abilities, allowing you to mix and match to create the perfect combination for your playstyle. Myth and Mirage is an original title whose gameplay system will surely captivate people and has proven to be particularly addictive. Hack and slash your way through the tombs of Oasis. Extracting with your loot will require all the skill your team can muster as you mow down vicious monsters, face deadly traps, and slaughter other players. Carefully craft your build and customize your character with unique items and skill trees. Each class and their unique weapons come with their own playstyle, animations, and special abilities, encouraging players to experiment with different combinations and tactics. Pilot your character with WASD. Click to move or your favorite gamepad. Zoom, pivot, and tilt your camera real time for the perspective you want. Teamwork and coordination between different classes is crucial for success. Every enemy requires a unique approach. Combining all the best elements of combat from ARPGs, replayability from roguelikes, and social aspects from MMOs to give players an unforgettable experience. With the freedom to build characters the way you want, whether that's throwing waves of fireballs, spinning through hordes of enemies, keeping them at a spear's distance, or just hanging out in town and playing the economy, there's something for everyone to experiment with. We continue in the traditional hack and slash norms with the Necromage. In this game, as most of you have guessed from the title, we take on the role of a necromancer, who can learn to summon any creature from the world. Level up and equip your minions by crafting enchanted spells to use on them. All this takes place in an isometric action RPG with intense combat and powerful bosses that will require your army of minions to defeat. Master the art of summoning creatures from all corners of the world. Craft powerful spells to level up and enhance your creature's gear. Embark on an epic journey through diverse realms. Start in the underworld and ascend to the upper world. Uncover and conquer challenging dungeons. Level up and equip your main character with the finest gear. Nefarium is an ARPG dungeon crawler where every floor is randomly generated. Upgrade your items, unleash powerful abilities, and use the elements in your favor. See how far you can go as you take on the endless dungeon. The dungeons of Nefarium change each time you enter, introducing variety in how you will get to the end. Difficulty rises with each completed floor as monsters start to get stronger. But beware, if you die, you will lose the current floor.
So, it's true. The king is dead.
No Rest for the Wicked. We don't know if it redefined the genre as its creators claimed. That's for future historians to say, but it's a title that was released last year in early access, and maybe we'll see it completed this year in 2025.
A plague that spent 1,000 years confined to
The story is admittedly a very strong element of the game, as are its graphics, which are unique and make a beautiful impression on the eye. Its combat, inspired by the Souls games, follows the familiar formula, and the inventory of objects and loot is reminiscent of games like Grim Dawn and Path of Exile.
God's chosen, descend from high.
Upcoming features that will be included prior to 1.0 release include multiplayer, 4-player co-op, multiplayer, PvP, expanded story content and chapters, additional map regions, farming, more weapons, armor, rare items and gear, new enemies and bosses, additional Crucible floors, bounties, and challenges. Patchworld is an isometric action role-playing game with a clever, innovative idea for character creation. Patchworld is an ARPG where you can create your own spells, find magic shards, and make spells out of them that will help in the battle against a variety of enemies. Flexible spell craft system based on loot in the form of magic shards with an almost infinite number of final options. A variety of monsters with special types of resistance, necessitating the creation of an arsenal of different spells. Patches from different worlds based on the culture and aesthetics of different regions of the world. A story campaign that is available for both single-player and online co-op. Different character classes with a specific crafting system.
Existence is a thing of beauty, precious, but impermanent. Life and death are mortal enemies. And yet,
in my list, which is in alphabetical order, Path of Exile 2 is in 72nd place. But the truth is that if the list were based on popularity or quality criteria, Path of Exile 2 would be in first place. It certainly doesn't mean that it doesn't have imperfections, because I'm not one of those who give everything positive reviews. This early access game needs attention in its endgame, because it ends, as I've seen many times, in dead ends and in an unjust waste of time if you don't find the citadels. After all, these are for those already initiated into this audio-visual masterpiece, and with its almost perfect combat and character building mechanisms. The developers intend to add 3 more acts, 6 more classes, and all corresponding ascendancy classes, lots of skill gems and items, as well as more in-game content, areas, bosses, and monsters. They are planning also to be adding content to roughly double the size of the current game during early access and into release.
We are faced with the end, and I will do what I must.
Path of Exile is currently the reason that the genre has taken this popular form, and has not ended up as a dead genre like real-time strategy games or point-and-click adventures. It has already managed to dethrone the fallen King Diablo in a merciless fight, and has set its own standards and rules for the genre for a decade. Path of Exile 2 is coming to continue in these rhythms, adding its own inexhaustible touch with the first impressions we see.
Those who obsess with death, let them soon be acquainted with it.
Will all the exiles wander in Rayclast in 2025?
It has been 500 years since your kind cut my family's throats and trod
Pathfinder,
upon our ambitions.
Abomination Vaults is the first ever co-op hack and
vengeance of
slash
a daughter
ARPG
is
based
no
on the
thing to be
adventure path,
trifled with.
in which players lead iconic
And I
Pathfinder
have
heroes
returned
into the
to
depths of
claim what is
Gauntlight
mine
Keep
by
and battle
right.
deadly abominations to reach the
Now,
evil sorceress
you
Belcora
and your
Haruvex
pack of
and end her
meddling
vile
rats
schemes.
have arrived to line your pockets with my family's treasures. But history will not repeat itself again. My horde of monsters, cultists, undead,
This series is typical of CRPGs, and we really wonder how its heroes will behave in faster and more frenetic rhythms that emphasize the RPGs. Will there be variety in loot, an inventory system like dolls, and the like? The information I have suggests that this title will be one of the most interesting of its kind in 2025. With such beautiful competition, we can only put smiles on our faces.
Steal the lost treasures of Good-Light Keep and face the horrors I have prepared for your kind. But when
4
the
iconic
dust is
champions of
settled,
Pathfinder
your
await your
bones
command.
will
Amiri the
decorate my
Barbarian,
floor.
Harsk the Ranger, Kyra the Cleric, and Ezrin the Wizard. Each features unique play styles, abilities, and feats, allowing for deep Pathfinder-style customization.
The Abomination Vaults.
Power Lust is an old-school action RPG in early access. Travel through an open world, design your own character class, and feed your lust for power by crushing your foes. Bonus replayability thanks to procedural generation, tons of abilities and items. Optional permadeath for hardcore roguelike fans. Project Rocket. Invasion Resurgence is an early access hack and slash game set in a futuristic universe. Play as a member of an elite unit of space soldiers equipped with the latest human technology, and take on the hordes of aliens invading the colonies. It's up to you to repel the Zorg invasion and protect the colonists, using a variety of weapons and skills. The total destruction of humanity is just around the corner, and its survival is in your hands. Your decisions will be crucial. Activate the various generators in your unit's reactor core to enable you to outmaneuver the Zorgs. A worldwide ranking awaits you. Will you make it into the top 100? Raya Nova is an action role-playing game that has not yet been released, and I had the opportunity to host it twice as a demo on my channel. It is a colorful action role-playing game that is quite addictive and attractive. Combine skills with many effects at once to destroy your enemies. Choose your hero and evolve them into a customized champion as you encounter strange monsters and unique characters in this crazy, colorful ARPG. Characters are reminiscent of anime, and it is quite a bit of witty humor. Its world is memorable. Reality Break is a top-down space opera action role-playing game with an amazing character build system and an unlimited range of loot. Rewrite the universe. Break reality to change your fate, and use your powers to stop sinister forces from altering existence itself. Discover the origin of your new abilities in a fast-paced ARPG loot collection roguelike where you will bend, break, and change the rules of space-time itself. Through the Codex, obtain powerful set bonuses by looting specific groups of item types. Then, upgrade the Codex to scale its bonuses based on the rarity of the loot you find, and even rewrite it so you can activate more than a single set bonus at a time. Buy ship upgrades from the tech specialist, including slots for brand new types of equipment, such as deadly drones that grant unique bonuses. Your ship can only fit so many upgrades, so choose wisely or grow strong enough to rewrite those limitations out of existence. Play through multiple timelines, upgrade your ship, and discover fantastical powers for your pilot. Use the analysis system in real time to unlock discoveries for your items. Come back to the game the next day or the next week to discover just how powerful your loot has gotten. If it's taking too long, rewrite the analysis system itself to speed it up. Reality breaks in 2025. ROGUElIKES is a project that I have been following since I discovered it. It has intrigued me a lot, and I personally rank it among the titles of the genre that I am personally looking forward to this year. It is a brutal isometric role-playing game in a dark and adult context that is not given anywhere. The interface gave me vibes of Grim Dawn, and the special abilities of the hero are structured in such a way as to create an enjoyable and complex character development system. You are a wanderer chosen to fight evil. Choose your path, explore gloomy locations, and find secret places. Defeat your enemies through complex character development, hundreds of unique items, and crafting. Taste the slaughtered flesh of your enemies in 2025. Revenge Crystal is an epic top-down action RPG. You explore a defeated world by unknown invaders as an amnesiac knight who must save the world and defeat the invaders by navigating through a world of interconnected challenges, fierce enemies, and intricate puzzles.
Power emanating from you. The crystal you carry has never spoken to me before.
With a battle like Souls, your every move matters. Customize your character to suit your playstyle, evolving skills and abilities to conquer your foes. Wield magical spells with the option to enhance them with elemental powers for devastating effects. Revenge and correcting old sins come together in one entity in 2025. Ring Ash is a challenging, fast-paced action game. You can use various weapons and skills to create your own unique combat style to conquer any difficulties. As a warrior with mystical powers, you'll try to save a world that is being destroyed by the Abyss and uncover the truth behind the disaster. It is a visually beautiful title with a responsive combat system that is unique compared to those already available. Full of secrets and challenges, ready to satisfy every demanding fan of the genre. We have finally reached number 81 on the list. I hope you don't get tired and enjoy the list. I'm sure that many titles you wouldn't even know existed, so it's nice for me to act as an intermediary between creators and potential customers. I basically do this because I love the genre. I don't aim to serve a company or to promote just one game. I have proven that I give everyone equal opportunities and time to shine. So let's not do injustice to the early access game that is in front of your screens right now. Rise of the Village Hero is an indie RPG that embraces the nostalgia of classic games. Explore diverse levels, uncover and complete quests through sometimes lighthearted, funny, and sassy dialogue with NPCs, collect, trade equipment, and slay monsters to become the hero of Dobroja. Rise of the Village Hero is a very decent role-playing game for its budget, and it would be nice to see it completed in 2025. Roots of Fury is a free-to-play, cute, isometric action role-playing game with battles like Souls. In this action-packed RPG, you play a scientist who shrunk herself to defeat insects that are eating the roots of her plants. The scientist enlists the help of an ant hive, where she has her base and can also craft weapons. A strong point of the game, apart from the obvious and always beloved honey shrunk the kids theme, is that you can use the remains of your enemies to craft a wide variety of weapons derived from the biology of each insect species. Crafting plays a fairly large role in this particular game. Furiously restore your roots in 2025. Rove is a point-and-slash adventure that blends intense isometric action RPG gameplay with the charm and puzzles of point-and-click exploration. Dive into a handcrafted world full of fierce enemies and quirky characters, where every choice and combat encounter drives the narrative forward. Choose your preferred tool of combat, whether it's a razor-sharp sword, a mighty hammer, a deadly bow, a mystical staff, or even a trusty shield. Unlock your true potential with powerful skills. Upgrade them to turn the tide of battle in your favor. The game will most likely be available in 2025. Another highly anticipated title that has been in development for many years, although there is a demo on Steam to check out. Rules of Alchemy is a mix of roguelike and action role-playing game. Find your perfect playstyle among the 9 classes and their weapon types. From sword and shield to dual lances, each weapon class provides a unique combat system that evolves the further you progress in the game. Experience the unique combo system and master every weapon's perks and technique. Unlock over 100 spells on the Rune Gate and discover even more hidden spells as you play the game. In Rules of Alchemy, spells are cast by combining other spells in real time. This unique system will have you experimenting with tons of different loadouts. Learn to counter enemy spells and turn them into your own. Craft, transmute, trade, equip, and level up thousands of procedural items. Combined with a deep RPG stat system, a massive spell tree, and 7 procedural biomes. Ruthless 1 is an early access top-down mech action role-playing game with fast-paced combat. 100 mechs will be available to choose from with the full version, along with numerous abilities. The game features everything the previous ones on the list have, such as random loot, and each mech has its own approach to the battlefield, as well as a different build. Ruthless 1 combines ARPG hack and slash with creature collection and puts it into a war-torn sci-fi world. Destroy enemy mechs, grow your army, and build the ultimate roster. Countless skills and items allow you to play the style you like. I think somewhere in the battle I caught the ED-209, the Enforcement Droid Series 209, from the RoboCop series. Oh my god, get ready with courage, it's coming. Embrace yourselves. It's surprising because few people talked, or better to put it, they didn't talk about this particular game. My personal bet is that it will be one of the strongest competitors to the top titles of the genre, and believe me, from what I've seen, it doesn't fall short of anything. So let's introduce it to an audience that is probably seeing it for the first time, because I've seen very few people mention it as material content on their channels. Seraph in the Darkness is a free-to-play classic dark fantasy. It's an action role-playing game, ARPG, with hack-and-slash-combat mechanics, allowing for item customization tailored to your playstyle. Experience new thrills in the world of Seraph, where aesthetics of darkness and fear combine. The Darkness begins in 2025. Dive into 7 Cities, a colorful, explosive action RPG set in a near-future New York. Customize your hero with modern weapons and skills. Explore 7 unique districts, blending reality with digital chaos, and uncover the secrets behind the city's division. The 7 Cities is an early access isometric action game set in a near-future New York City. In a world divided by corporate greed and technological advancement, you, an outsider, must rise to reclaim the city and restore unity among its inhabitants. With a companion robot that will help you on missions as a pet, as well as a multitude of abilities and weapons, The 7 Cities is a title that will keep you busy for a long time. Shadow Force is a pixelated action role-playing game with roguelike elements in a dark universe. Become a vigilante monster hunter who hunts and slays ancient and terrifying creatures. Countless hordes of monsters, zombies, undead skeletons, and other monsters in the repertoire of classic horror await in dungeons that have never seen a ray of sunlight to be slaughtered by our vengeful vigilante hero. The game features room-based random generated levels, upgrade system that allow your characters become more powerful and unique, different builds based on equipped weapons and tools, many items, from usual knife to legendary artifacts and relics. There is no reason to fight alone. Team up with your friends in co-op multiplayer. Dive deep into the storyline, break through the hordes of enemies, collect rare loot, and try to resist your temptations, or, alternately, head to the arena and face off against other players. The sigil of chaos awaits its keeper. A multi-platform gaming experience. It awaits us to be revealed in 2025. At number 90 on our list, we come across a nice selection where, yes, I'm not kidding you, it can also be played in an isometric or top-down mode. It's a game quite full of loot and battles with an emphasis on huge battles with bosses of super dimensions. Battle against fearsome raid bosses alone. Uncover your past in Arpgs, a sinister world ravaged by ancient gods of the realm below. This ARPG features 9 class specializations, hundreds of unique items, a vast array of skills, complex character progression, and intense raid boss encounters. There is a demo already available on Steam. It is a game that personally impressed me with a lot of what it shows and provides. Spark in the Dark is an impressively mature gothic horror title that plays on the most primal fears of the human species. It is an isometric action role-playing game with tactical combat where every move counts. Trapped in pitch-black and sunless dungeons, we must escape to find untold secrets and prepare for the dangers that lurk in a gothic horror. Realistic lighting rendering adds a wild beauty to the already immersive game. This place is shrouded in mystery. Horrible legends and gloom-filled ancient stories, full of unimaginable things, have been going around for centuries. The endless dungeon that was created long before humans. So say the old people. Now, a place of darkness and ugly creatures. The spark in the darkness will be lit in 2025. It's incredibly impressive how the sets, the worlds, the artistic setup, the graphics vary on this list. But despite this, they all maintain the 4 pillars that we have defined as unbreakable rules. Let's wander through the vast universe of the Star Vortex. Put your equipment, upgrades, and skills to use and lay waste to your enemies throughout your journey. In a deep and complex item system, with many possible builds and synergies to discover. Star Vortex is a top-down space-influenced action RPG inspired by classics like Diablo 2. Design your ship. Fight your way through hostile alien sectors. Upgrade as you salvage rare weapons and experiment with different builds until nothing can stand against you. Tigania is traditional isometric action RPG with a plethora of things you could in the game. Choose your class, slay creatures, gather loot, craft items, discover villages, and explore a massive open world. Play with 1 to 8 players co-op in this isometric action RPG fantasy adventure. You can choose between WSD movement or the traditional click to move, depending on your preference. Tigania promises a remarkable character building system with gems that are integrated into existing abilities and a vast number of loot. Its world is open with several challenges in every corner. Talos is a pixelated action role-playing game with a top-down format. Don't be fooled by its crude graphics and the somewhat clumsy appearance of our protagonist. This is a title that those who prefer to create builds and delve into theory crafting will be pleasantly surprised by. Explore the unknown lands of Talos. Play the way you want with hundreds of builds to choose from. Complete randomized dungeons, obtain epic loot, craft your perfect gear, and hunt down uber bosses. Talos is a Diablo 2 Path of Exile inspired action RPG set in a vibrant fantasy 2D world. Explore dark secrets and battle evil in the Dark Book 2, the epic sequel to the dark fantasy RPG. An unconventional hero, a resurrected skeleton, unravels mysteries in sinister dungeons and dark lands. Confront malevolent creatures and formidable bosses. An enthralling adventure in the shadows. The Dark Book 2 is an isometric action game completely free to play on Steam. It has a lot of items to collect, and your character is free to move without any restrictions, without classes to bind it. A dark and fascinating world. Immerse yourself in mysterious realms, ominous dungeons, and eerie caves. Each step takes you closer to ancient secrets and hidden spells. Guided by Reaper. Follow Reaper, an enigmatic character who will guide you through the thin veil between the living and the dead. Gain a deeper understanding of the world around you as you unravel intricate mysteries.
When you're all alone, visions of
The Horror is an isometric action game that is a reference point and a love letter to the horror videotapes of the 1980s. Become the ultimate manifestation of horror. This dark, action RPG fuses the strategic depth of classic ARPGs with the dread-filled atmosphere of 80s horror. Play as an iconic horror archetype as you carve through twisted landscapes, battling both the living and the dead in a world consumed by evil. Iconic weapons and character building. Discover classic horror weapons, chainsaws, machetes, axes, and forge them into your own iconic tools of fear. Upgrade and evolve your gear, creating powerful builds that match your nightmare persona. The other side. Return to this eerie, interdimensional hub after each mission to refine your skills, upgrade your gear, and perfect your manifestation's power. A game with an isometric camera that I have presented on my channel in the summer Its demonstration is The Legend of Kappa Negra, is a Souls-like action RPG set in a medieval, dark fantasy world. As a new member of the Rebel faction, your first mission will be to travel to a small village to meet a contact. Find your way through dangerous landscapes and join the war against the king.
Welcome to the inn.
Skill-based combat system with dozens of spectacular execution moves. Complete quests, fight, trade, gather, and craft. 3 different classes. Discover hidden areas, secret passages, and more mysteries in a handcrafted world. Swords, spears, bows, axes, maces, magic wands. An arsenal of weapons and armors. The legend awaits rekindling in 2025. The Legend of Chosen Blood is a new generation pixel-style ARPG game. Place yourself in a fantasy world where darkness and magic blend. Overcome unknown dangers and defeat powerful monsters. Uncover the ancient legends of this continent. Build your own territory. In your territory, you can unlock more functions or decorate your home by building various buildings, including alchemy, research, planting, runes, forging, etc. You can continuously strengthen your equipment and refine power. Potions and planting consumables will make the next battle easier. You have been selected for Blood in 2025. Purge the lands in this 2.5D HD pixel art roguelike ARPG. In Rangers in the South, you can create hundreds of characters with unique strategies and abilities, face hordes of enemies, explore different biomes, procedurally generated dungeons, and obtain unique items. Pixel art action roguelike RPG set in a beautiful 2.5D world inspired by the SNES classics. Fight and design a unique strategy with hundreds of alternatives to explore different biomes and challenges. No predefined classes, with hundreds of unique abilities, character traits, and procedurally generated equipment. Death will be your best teacher. Start new characters to discover new possibilities, items, and abilities. But not all is lost. Progress between each character is stored in the form of exploration, items, and gold. We have finally reached 100 on this long list, but don't run away. It's not the end. The letters of the alphabet are not finished yet, and so as not to keep you in suspense any longer, 12 more games will be presented before your eyes before the list ends. Realm of Incarnation, it's a game that I see with many positive opinions, but it's only in Chinese. From the images it presents, I can easily understand why it's such an attractive title, and I would like it in an English version, not tomorrow now. This game centers on monster hunting, equipment collection, random talents, gear enhancement, and top-tier loot drops. The goal of the list is not to present only the most popular games coming next year. The only easy thing would be for me to make a passable list with the 10 or 20 most popular games, and that's it. It would be less time-consuming and more efficient in terms of views. But that's not how I like to present every title regardless of quality, popularity, or expectations. The Uncalled is a game about a young romantic shepherd is not called to arms for the war in the territories north. However, witless enough, the enemy has changed its attack route. He is left alone with women, children, and animals to protect, and with lots of pain of being belittled by men of the locale and his beloved land. Character customization. Players can choose from a variety of backstories, weaknesses, and starting attributes, allowing for a personalized experience. Skill tree. A deep and engaging skill tree system enables players to tailor their character's growth to their preferred playstyle. Equipment and items. A diverse array of equipment and items can be collected and upgraded to enhance the character's abilities and appearance. In the previous entry, I was referring to popular games. Titan Quest 2, it should be one of the 5 most anticipated games of the year. It will definitely be in the top 5, reviving the classic title in new, more modern forms without losing the charm and lore of its predecessor. Flexible character system. In Titan Quest 2, you are in control of your own fate. Form your own class by combining 2 masteries. Build your character around the strengths and weakness of both masteries, exploring different combinations of skill modifiers, attributes, and items to create your own hybrid class and find your favorite playstyle. Grow your powers from those of a young mortal to a hero to rival the gods themselves. Powerful rituals allow you to freely control the game's difficulty, while deep character customization systems ensure that there's always a good reason to replay. Meaningful loot. Every item serves a function, and every character class has many options when it comes to finding the perfect equipment. Battle classic creatures from Greek myth and the original Titan Quest, including Ichthyans, centaurs, satyrs, harpies, sirens, griffins, and many, many more. Nemesis, goddess of retribution, is out of control. She is corrupting the threads of fate and punishing all those who oppose her. Take up your weapon, fight alongside gods, and change fate itself in Titan Quest 2, an action RPG inspired by Greek mythology. While we were sorting out mythological titles, we forgot to add the title to the alphabetical order where it rightfully belongs. Fortunately, we quickly realized our omission and corrected it. Tales of Spark is a hack and slash action RPG with an Eastern flair. Players assume the role of a young wandering swordsman, exploring the vast desert, seeking treasures, defeating powerful bosses, and even slaying gigantic celestial dragons. This game is from last year when it first appeared on the Steam platform in early access, but it's worth checking out. Collect treasure. As you continue your journey, defeating dangerous enemies, you'll gain a steady stream of gear and items. In addition to the ever-changing random equipment, there are more than 120 pieces of exquisite and powerful ancient equipment, as well as a large number of jade and consumables. Build your hero. The game currently provides one hero with 20 skills and 30 talents. You can choose freely as you wish to build your hero to maximize your abilities. To Kill a God is a hardcore top-down game that combines roguelike with the character building and theory crafting of mature and demanding action role-playing games like Path of Exile. an immersive action roguelite experience with a groundbreaking skill system that allows you to craft your own skill tree. Unlock the true potential of your character, delivering an ever-evolving experience. Skill crafting. Each player can uniquely modify their skills. Player agency. Combining the random nature of roguelikes and the deep customization of the skill tree, players who master the system will feel like the creator of their own tree. The map is the skill tree. All elements contained in the map, when possible, will behave like characters on a journey. A young acolyte of the Old Order is trapped in an ancient spell, the Death Spiral, where he must endure a never-ending cycle of death and rebirth, becoming more experienced and powerful, facing greater and greater challenges, until he is able to escape. All you have to do is to kill a god. Tormentus is an early access title that follows in the footsteps of an old game called The Mighty Quest of Epic Loot. And in many ways, it has more rich and dynamic content than the source it was inspired by. Prepare your dungeon to repel invaders and protect your chests with monsters and well-placed traps. Train your hero, equip powerful equipment, and conquer other players' dungeons to fight for the top. This is where classic action role-playing meets dungeon building. Your goal is to protect your boxes from invaders. They supply you with coins, and your opponents want to empty them. Create a unique dungeon that will mislead your opponents. Place monsters and traps in your dungeon and lead your opponents into an ambush. They may not reach your vault in time. With each victory over another player, you will receive trophies and climb the rankings. If Blizzard ever wanted to make the ultimate remake of Diablo 1, it should have been inspired by this particular title, because after 28 years since the release of Diablo 1, for the first time we see a title embodying it so authentically. The Tower of Kalamanbo includes all those elements that made us shiver in Diablo 1. The creaking of the doors, the roars of the monsters, the agonizing battle with the fewest life filters remaining, the claustrophobic terror, and the torturous pace of battle are faithfully reflected in this masterpiece, which is definitely one of my favorite choices for this year. So crawl to the top of the Tower of Kalamanbo, a hardcore isometric ARPG with randomly generated levels meant for fans of slower-paced action games. Fight cultists and monsters, scavenge for magical loot, learn powerful spells, and fully customize your stats and skills. Defeat wicked foes, grow stronger, gather whatever loot you can find, and tread lightly, as every encounter could be your last. The fate of your realm hangs in the balance. Embark on a treacherous journey in this isometric shared world online action RPG set in the beautiful land of Thyle. Explore deadly dungeons, hidden caves, and the wilderness alone or with friends. Are you brave enough to take the challenge? It is a commendable effort that improves over time until the final version. Create, customize, and equip your adventurer. Increase your renown within the Wanderer's Circle to gain the trust of masters, learn powerful skills, and even choose masteries of your own. Engage in real-time action combat that relies on your own skills and reflexes. Hunt for rare loot and trade freely with other players. Party up with nearby characters and form or join clans. Treasure Tile is a unique role-playing experience that combines tactical mechanics with real-time hack and slash gameplay in a rich and deep procedurally generated world. Explore and fight for powerful items and unique relics. Craft, upgrade, and enhance your gear to create your ideal build and play style. Discover the transformative power of family bonds in Trix the Witching World. Follow Trix, a young witch apprentice, as she masters her magical abilities in a captivating top-down 2D pixel art RPG. Every decision shapes her destiny in this enchanting adventure. The primary attack is your sword. The secondary attacks are magical attacks of the ice element, which can vary between projectiles, area damage, or applying freezing effects on enemies. Adapt your gameplay to suit your playstyle by choosing which attributes best suit your skills. Inventory of items. 6 maps. Over 30 enemies. 6 bosses. Troubled Passage is a roguelike ARPG with an engaging and innovative combat system based on mouse swipes. The mouse is an extension of your sword. Fight your way through randomly generated levels, recruit companions, gather loot, trade, forge weapons, and learn new skills. Choose your character appearance and select a trade. Trades are like character classes that defines with which types of weapons and types of damage your character is proficient with, gaining a buff when using that type of weapon. To ensure that each playthrough feels different, levels are randomly generated. So there are new areas to explore each time you play, and loot is distributed at random. There are still some static levels in terms of layout due to workload, but later they will all be fully random. With all these options in the game, there will be no trouble for us to follow this passage in 2025. Void Dungeon brings you a 2D action RPG with intense hack and slash combat, deep character options, and unyielding enemies, which you can face solo or with up to 4 friends. Oh, and quirky costumes, because it's better to look good when the void consumes you. Choose from multiple races and 3 distinct classes, each with unique abilities. Customize your hero's appearance, skills, and gear to create a character that suits your playstyle perfectly. Discover equipment of varying rarities, from common to singularity tier, with randomized stats and special abilities. Enhance your gear through crafting, upgrades, and enchanting for that extra edge in battle. Get lost in the void in 2025. And our last alphabetical game for this special and unique list. It is the Wraithbinder, an early access action roguelike indie game with secrets, loot, necromancy, and ability progression from the creator of Sombreer. Each run, you build a different sequence of weapons, abilities, and relics while keeping your loot, character, and world upgrades across runs. Play solo now. Local co-op coming soon. Relics are powerful artifacts that buff your character or debuff enemies in certain ways. Relics also come as a choice, allowing you to choose one that meets the style you are going for in the current run. When you die, you keep your armor and stats. Between runs, you return to your ship, where you can permanently power up your character using the light, gold, and metal you have collected. I hope you found our list authentic in comparison to any lists that may be circulating. I try to define some simple rules for the genre, without going too far or getting tired. May you all have a good year with health and love.